Here with Coach Street Sarrett, head coach of the Beckley Flying Eagles football. Coach, first thing I want to ask you is, did you imagine that your first practice would be with 55-degree weather?
No, not the way this summer's been. So it is a cool night, good for us.
So you hit on it just there a second ago. Your summer, you guys spent a lot of July. You sent your calendar over. You guys have been doing a lot coming into this. Talk about how that benefits you coming into the season.
You know, we get 3 weeks. I mean, you've seen our practice, fast-paced, offense, defense is in, and you know, just working to. I think we could play a game right now. You know, but that really helped us getting our young kids coming from our middle schools out with our team, and you know, those guys have been rolling since January doing stuff. But those 3 weeks in July really helped us.
Now, you guys have to replace a lot. I mean, you guys are replacing over 1,000 yards of offense on the ground, and those are guys that double both ways. They played linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
So talk to me about how you've been able to really weed things out and kind of get kids up to pace. Because I know you guys, you know, you're not just a one-back sort of team. You guys had 3 or 4 backs.
Oh,
we
yeah.
also graduated quite a few of those
Yeah,
backs.
we did. It was a good senior class. A lot of good backs in that class. But, you know, we got some good backs come up that was behind them and got some good reps in when we was up in games and JV. So, you know, it's gonna be by process, getting our backs rolling and see who's the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, how have you been pretty satisfied with how that's kind of rolled out so far?
Yes, we have. These guys have rolled good, and we've got some good young kids that can step in there. You might see a freshman or 2 on Friday night.
Now, on the other side of the ball, where these guys played linebacker, I know you lost Landon Jones a little bit. I think that was 6 or 7 games into the year, and he was a key player as well. But, I mean, talk about how it's been on the defensive side of the ball, because that's kind of the heart of your defense a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You know, and those same guys are playing linebacker, and we got some guys that will be 10th graders playing linebacker, and, you know, just putting a lot of speed on the field on defense, and they're stepping in those spots. So just have to wait and see.
Do you think that's something that you have to rely on some of your veterans? I know Jamarcus Mans was an all-stater last year.
Jamarcus is as good as Jamarcus wants to be. He could be the best defensive lineman in the state, in my opinion. And then you got Preston Clary and A.J. Thomas. You know, those guys are top-notch DBs, so lean on those guys on defense.
And just hitting on those DBs for a second, I think they had 10 interceptions combined last year. It seemed like teams stopped throwing their way towards the second half of the season.
Those guys are, you know, they're just smart kids, athletic, you know, multiple sport guys, play 3 sports, and they're just competitors, man. Competitors. They like playing whatever they're doing.
As a coach, how reassuring or, you know, comforting is it to have those guys back in the secondary? Because I know a lot of high school teams don't even throw the ball, so for them to be able to capitalize on those opportunities and just they seem to be seamless out here. I know the coaches seem to rely on them as leaders and point them out a lot.
Those guys, man, they're going to be, you know, spot on defense, and they're just tough. You know, like you said, they can play safety, they can play corner. They might even be inching up there and playing a little linebacker here and there. AJ, he's got the speed and the power to do it. So we'll see what happens.
I know you don't want to give away too much of what you guys are doing, but you guys have been a really run-heavy team over the last 3 or 4 years. Your veterans are kind of as receivers, you know, Preston and AJ, and the quarterback situation. You know, do you imagine that you're probably going to throw it a little bit more? Or,
Well, we'll throw it. You know, when your quarterbacks are young and they're working, you know, you rely heavy on them, and you got a bunch of senior backs. And, you know, AJ and Preston, they can line up at tailback also. So they have before last year. And, you know, we're going to throw the ball, but we're going to still establish the run and run the ball.
One thing I want to talk about is Gage. I know at one point you ended up pulling him last year. You know, just talk to me about how he handled that, because he's back out here. He seems confident. I know a lot of kids, especially when they're younger, that can be a harder situation for them to handle.
Gage took it with stride, and, you know, it's just part of football, and we had to do some things, and, you know, Gage was right back in there the next week, and, you know, both Gage and Gage are competitors, and it's gonna be a competition. That's what you want. You want a guy behind you pushing you and doing the things you got to do.
Now, the way your schedule shakes out, it gets really difficult towards the end. You guys kind of, you know, I want to say you start the playoffs a little bit early with the Paul
We do, and
teams.
you have to. 4A ball is different, you know, and been, you know, one of the bigger schools in Southern West Virginia. We have to be ready, and, you know, we have that top heavy-ended schedule for a reason, and it leads us right into the playoffs and get us ready.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. You can watch the Beckley Flying Eagles as they have their home opener against Washington on August 29th. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, thank you.
Absolutely.